There was a time in Britain when the roads felt slower, the days felt longer, and every family seemed to have a car that carried the weight of its stories. The 1970s weren't perfect years, but they were rich with character, an era of muddy motorways, seaside day trips, and engines that grumbled like old friends. Petrol stations still had attendants, high streets smelled of chip shops, and the sound of a cold engine turning over on a frosty morning felt like the true start of the day. These cars weren't complicated machines. They were companions that shaped childhood memories, weekend routines, and the rhythm of ordinary life. Their seats were scratchy, their heaters unreliable, yet somehow they felt warmer than anything built today. This was the Britain where families squeezed into the back with sandwiches wrapped in foil, where every man learned how to check his oil, and where a car wasn't just a vehicle, it was part of the home, carrying the charm and imperfections of the time. Number 1. Ford Cortina. The Ford Cortina became the unofficial car of the British everyman, rolling through the 1970s like a quiet symbol of practicality and pride. It arrived at a moment families needed something reliable, modest, and unmistakably British in spirit, even if its badge came from overseas. The Cortina's shape was simple and honest, straight lines, square corners, and a stance that suggested it had no interest in showing off. Under the bonnet, a range of engines allowed men to choose between sensible commuting and a little weekend enthusiasm, though even the punchier variants sounded more hard-working than fierce. The drive was steady and unhurried, with a gentle hum and a steering feel that transmitted every bump of a country lane. Inside, the vinyl seats warmed in the sun, and the dashboard had that familiar plasticky scent that anyone from that era can still recall. It became a fixture of cul-de-sacs, company car parks, and caravan sites, hauling families to Blackpool or Brighton with a boot full of flasks and folding chairs. The Cortina endured because it represented stability in a Britain that was slowly changing, and people loved it for being the dependable old friend that never made a fuss. Number 2. Austin Allegro. Few cars divide memory quite like the Austin Allegro, yet it remains one of the most recognizable shapes of the 1970s. It came onto the scene at a time when British motoring was going through awkward transitions, and the Allegro reflected that brave attempt to modernize. Its rounded jelly mold design was unlike anything else on the road, giving it a soft, almost friendly presence. Underneath, the hydrogas suspension gave it a peculiar bounce that older drivers can describe with surprising affection. The Allegro wasn't built for speed. It was built for everyday British living, school runs, shopping trips, and the familiar shuffle through evening traffic. Inside, everything felt compact, with a faint smell of worn fabric and warm plastic lingering on summer afternoons. Many families remember long holiday drives, where the Allegro hummed steadily along the A roads while children pressed their faces against the glass, counting passing lorries. Its charm came from its simplicity. It was imperfect, undeniably so, yet it embodied the spirit of making do, of squeezing as much life as possible out of what you had. That, in its own way, made people fond of it. Number 3. Morris Marina. The Morris Marina became one of the quiet workhorses of 1970s Britain, filling driveways across the country with its modest, unpretentious presence. When it appeared, it offered something straightforward, a car without fuss, without fancy curves, without needless complexity. Its design was square and sensible, the kind of shape you could spot from across a car park without any doubt. Under the bonnet, the Marina borrowed familiar engines that were easy for mechanics to understand, making it a favorite among men who preferred to do their own tinkering on Sunday mornings. The drive was unassuming, never built for excitement, but dependable enough to handle long stretches of uneven countryside roads. Inside, its cloth seats carried the faint smell of damp coats and petrol-soaked hands, the sense of real daily life. Many remember family holidays where the Marina pulled a caravan that seemed far too heavy for it, yet it kept going, mile after mile. The Marina was loved not because it was extraordinary, but because it was ordinary in the most comforting way, a reminder of a Britain where reliability mattered more than style. Number 4. Mini. The Mini remained a familiar sight throughout the 1970s, weaving through narrow streets with a charm that no other car could imitate. Born in an earlier decade, it had already become a cultural icon, yet it kept its practical purpose, a small, nimble car that made every journey feel cheerful. Its boxed-in shape and tiny wheels created a driving experience that felt light and connected, as if the whole car was dancing over the road surface. The engine had a spirited little growl, pushing the Mini with more enthusiasm than its size suggested. Inside, space was tight but cleverly arranged, the smell of old carpet mixing with the metallic scent of the dashboard switches. It was a favorite for young drivers, new families, and anyone who wanted low running costs without losing character. Many remember piling friends into the back for trips to the coast, the Mini bravely carrying more weight than any engineer ever intended. It was loved because it represented freedom to go anywhere, squeeze into any corner, and make even the dullest errand feel joyful. Number 5. Vauxhall Viva. The Vauxhall Viva was one of those cars that seemed to fit effortlessly into ordinary British life. It appeared in many modest driveways, sitting neatly outside pebble-dashed semis and terraced houses. The Viva's design was clean and tidy, with smooth lines that gave it a slightly more modern feel compared to some of its boxier rivals. Engine options ranged from gentle to lively, offering men a sense of choice in a decade when choices often felt limited. The steering was light, the clutch forgiving, making it a comfortable companion for long commutes or family outings. Inside, its cabin had a calm, understated look, simple dials, easy switches, and fabric that carried the smell of sun-warmed seats after a day parked outside a corner shop. Many remember the Viva loaded with prams, bags, and groceries, its boot filled to the brim, yet always capable of one more thing. The Viva earned affection because it balanced practicality with a hint of style, fitting into everyday life without ever demanding attention. Number 6. Hillman Avenger. The Hillman Avenger held its place as a dependable family car, with a touch more personality than some of its competitors. It arrived with a design that felt slightly sportier, curved arches, a confident stance, and a look that suggested it could handle itself on both the school run and the open road. Beneath the bonnet, its engines offered a spirited response that pleased men who wanted something more than mere practicality. Driving the Avenger meant feeling a firmer grip on the wheel, a clearer sense of feedback through the pedals, and a reassuring hum from the engine. Inside, the cabin felt welcoming, with patterned upholstery that became a familiar backdrop to countless journeys. People remember the Avenger loaded with holiday bags, children half asleep in the back, and the steady rhythm of the road guiding them through long Saturday drives. The Avenger was loved because it refused to be dull. It delivered reliability wrapped in just enough character to make every journey feel a little more enjoyable. Number 7. Triumph Dolomite. The Triumph Dolomite brought a touch of refinement to 1970s British roads, standing out with its elegant lines and understated confidence. It was the kind of car men chose when they wanted something practical, yet slightly more distinguished. Its angular nose, polished trim, and purposeful stance made it instantly recognizable. Underneath, it carried engines that offered smooth acceleration, giving the Dolomite a pleasant sense of pace without being showy. The drive felt composed, with a firmness that inspired reassurance on winding country lanes. Inside, it offered a warmer, more comfortable atmosphere than many cars of its time. Soft seats, textured dashboards, and that faint woody scent from the trim. Families remember long journeys where the Dolomite felt like a quiet sanctuary from the outside world, carrying them through rain-soaked motorways or sunny afternoon trips to the countryside. People loved it because it brought a small touch of class to everyday motoring, proving that practicality didn't have to be plain. Number 8. Ford Capri. The Ford Capri was the dream car sitting in the imagination of countless British men, offering a sense of style and flair rarely seen on the roads of the 1970s. It was the car that made you feel like life could be a little more exciting. Its long bonnet, sloping roofline, and bold presence gave it a sporty attitude, even for drivers who never pushed it beyond gentle Sunday cruising. Under the bonnet, the engines ranged from modest to impressively lively, allowing men to pick the level of excitement that suited them. The driving experience felt lower, sharper, more connected, with a growl from the engine that set it apart from everyday saloons. Inside, the Capri carried sporty touches, deep-set dials, snug seats, and a faint smell of vinyl mixed with the thrill of something special. Many remember polishing their Capri on quiet weekends, admiring how it caught the light. The Capri was loved because it represented aspiration, a chance to feel a bit daring, even if your daily routine was as ordinary as everyone else's. Number 9. Rover P6. The Rover P6 brought an air of authority to the 1970s, often found outside offices, government buildings, and respectable family homes. Its sharp, confident design gave it a serious presence, with clean lines and a solid stance that signaled reliability. Underneath, the engineering was advanced for its time, offering smooth performance and a sense of refinement that set it apart. Driving the P6 felt calm and controlled, with a quietness inside the cabin that softened the noise of busy British roads. The seats had a firm but comforting character, and the interior carried the scent of well-kept materials that aged gracefully. Many remember long motorway journeys where the P6 seemed to glide rather than drive, its suspension soaking up the miles as the countryside slipped by. People loved it because it offered dignity without extravagance, an understated symbol of success in a Britain that valued modest achievement. Number 10. Land Rover Series 3. The Land Rover Series 3 embodied ruggedness in its purest form, standing as a familiar sight on farms, country villages, and outdoor workplaces across Britain. Its boxy shape, exposed hinges, and purposeful stance spoke of a vehicle built for utility rather than comfort. Under the bonnet lay dependable engines that delivered steady torque, allowing the Land Rover to crawl across fields, forge shallow streams, or tow stubborn loads. Driving it was a raw experience, heavy steering, clattering panels, and a gearbox that demanded patience. Inside, the cabin was sparse, carrying the smell of damp coats, wet dogs, and cold mornings. Yet for many, this simplicity was its charm. Families used it for camping trips, hauling gear, and exploring countryside paths that ordinary cars couldn't reach. The Land Rover was loved because it represented adventure, resilience, and a connection to the land, a reminder of a Britain that still felt close to its rural roots. These cars weren't just machines. They were the backdrop of a Britain that moved at a gentler pace. They carried families through seasons of change, etched memories into countless ordinary days, and shaped the character of streets now filled with quieter, more efficient vehicles. Each one holds a piece of the past, a reminder of cold mornings, long summers, and roads that seemed to stretch endlessly into the future. They belong to an era when life felt simpler, communities felt closer, and every journey, no matter how small, carried a sense of meaning.